And we're back. This is my last video because I just wanted to mention a few things, a few more things. Um, so I think I forgot to mention that Rand Gutier, who was the thief who stole the safe, for not being paid and not being able to recollect his things, his tools. As a carpenter, that's what you need. You need your tools, and they're not easy to come by. And so that builds the motivation behind his his plan of revenge and whatnot. And not for nothing, they have a great soundtrack. They have Nine Inch Nails and I think the Cranberries come out, and a number of like really well known 90s artists. Some continued past the 90s, others didn't, but those one hit wonders. But it's a time capsule, this show, and it pulls at the nostalgic strings because I don't know, I feel like sometimes, not for nothing, and this is just my take on it, my interpretation of it, but and remember, perhaps because of all these cases, there were really important cases to American pop culture, a part of American history, and it's contemporary. So I think that's why. But I want to say also it kind of caters to my gen that remembers these cases but don't necessarily have like all the details, which make it interesting to kind of break down. So I think that's why these shows have been very successful, because not only can you reminisce, but you can also be intrigued and find more details that you didn't necessarily have, because we honestly, information is now like, it's just everywhere. Consumption of anything is now available, readily available at the touch of your phone. But back then you didn't have all that. It's just the fact that I'm seeing already instances of the new episode of how like the World Wide Web was so like, you didn't have an understanding of what it was. You just remember that it was like this address, this web address, and nobody understood what the HTTP was, and the double slash, and the all the coding that came after. Nobody understood it, and you can see like, wow, how far we've come. That like literally people had no concept of what the internet was. It was just like in small developments of it. And in comparison to the life that we're leading today, where everything is so readily available, anything is accessible, a review is available on YouTube, an app, you could just, Wi-Fi. People don't even understand what Wi-Fi, the advancement of what Wi-Fi is and what it means. And we didn't have that. Growing up, you had to attach your computer into a socket I had to wait, and it was like a dial-up tone. Amazing to me. But I don't know. I hope that new gens appreciate the story for what it is, and if they were ever curious about these two, I think honestly it's opening doors to revisit that time, to perhaps know more about Pamela Anderson and her trajectory and what she's gone on to do in terms of her career. And maybe perhaps create new fans when it comes to Motley Crue, because not for nothing, their music was pretty killer, and the fact that it still holds up to this day. I mean, I don't necessarily know if people realize that it had some of, I think, because I think I mentioned in the previous video with Mick Mars being their lead guitarist and his background being in blues, a lot of blues can mimic hip hop, and you have a hip hop beat. So even if like a lot of it is very heavy rock centered, the music, some live performances, I can say you could drop a beat on it. Not for nothing, Girls, 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 which was really popular when they released it, Jay-Z would go on remix it, right? It was like girls, 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 and it was an homage, semi homage to this particular song. So you never know who you can influence. I'm just saying, but I think these particular docuseries, perhaps, you know, heavily fictionized, but not really. Because, like I mentioned, it is based on their own wording, their own autobiographical account of what their life was. So I recommend. I'm really enamored with this show. I have to rewatch the most recent episode, which just dropped on Hulu. It is titled. So the first episode, just so you guys have an understanding, the first episode is called "Drilling and Pounding," pun intended. Drilling and Pounding. The second episode is "I Love You, Tommy." Third episode is Jane Fonda. And now the most recent one that dropped is titled "The Master Beta," which is so funny because like that was the predecessor to VHS. But again, you know, I know I go on with these tangents as a nerd, but yes, I just want to make there was a beta machine before there was a VHS. Okay, and then the following week, Uncle Jim and Aunt Susie in Duluth. And the following, which will air February 23rd, Pamela in Wonderland. So I'm very curious to where the story goes, but I'm hooked. I think, again, like I said, the actors are phenomenal. A lot of them are from the UK. I'm not saying that you can't have homegrown actors, but you know, they do a really decent job. Also, I forgot to mention that, of course, you know, so Rand didn't do this all by himself. He needed to find distribution. And didn't we and we didn't even know about this. I didn't even know that, like, again, I didn't even know the tape had been stolen and by whom. So Rand is played by Seth Rogen, is Rand Gautier, who stole the tape. So the jilted carpenter. He runs to Uncle Milton. Milton, and played by Nick Offerman. I mean, we know him, you know, from stage work, and also he's married to, I think her name is Megan, you know, the lady from Will and Grace. Really great comedic couple. But he's a porno producer and helps find Rand distribution with the mafioso Andrew Dice Clay. Little do we know that Rand also had a history in porn, which that's why he was just, you know, it was a no-brainer. He's like, I know people in porn. I did a brief stint in porn. My current soon-to-be ex-wife is a porn star, and I think that's why he got into it, because of her. And we're learning some backstory in terms of his own personal life and how you can see he's still very much in love with his soon-to-be ex-wife, and he doesn't want to get a divorce. Here, her name is Erica Gautier, and played by Taylor Schilling. And if the name sounds familiar, yes, she is the same actress from Orange is the New Black, which is also, she's also a phenomenal talent. So, yeah, I'm curious. I'm really curious. Lily James, girl, you are doing your thing. You are holding it down. And when I see you, all I see is Pamela Anderson. And just like her, I give kudos to Douglas Booth. If you watch The Dirt, he does a phenomenal job as Nikki Sixx. So they are holding it down. I do recommend it. It is on my love meter. It is a B mine. Now, if it was like hot for TV, this would be tipping over here. Because it is definitely not I prefer my pets. I guess you'll do XOXO and be mine, honey. It is tipping over here, too hot for TV. But it is still good. It is so good. I recommend it. So The Dirt is available on Netflix, and Pam and Tommy is available on Hulu. So stay tuned, y'all. I have a number of other movies and shows that I'm going to review. I'm going to have a Valentine's Day special. I might even review The Dirt in a Nikki Sixx wig. So stay tuned for that. It'd be funny to do. First I'm doing Pammy and then I'll do Nikki Sixx. But nonetheless, Yes, we are in Valentine's Day mode. So yes, I might even review. Hold on. My plan is to kind of review. Not sure. They're love stories, but they're not like your traditional rom com. And maybe I might throw in a few rom coms and whatnot. But I just want to always think outside the box. So I love this. This is actually, these are props again. I love my Dollar Tree, and it looks very much like a marquee. That's why I loved it, and I have no problems just holding it. But I hope you guys like my background. Like I said, mention if you do like it, what in particular do you like? Drop me a comment in the comment section down below. You can see my little love truck in the corner too. So stay tuned for all of those specials, y'all. And until my next video. Till my next video, y'all. All right, y'all. XOXO, Nerdy Girl.